I think there's a second test of Rishi Sunak's leadership coming up, and coming up very quickly. And that is when we find out how Boris Johnson responds to the deal which Rishi has arranged, which Chris Heaton-Harris has arranged, and which has been endorsed by the EU. Up to this point, Boris has been quite outspoken in rejecting this deal, and particularly rejecting Rishi's proposal that the Northern Ireland Protocol Bill amendment, however one wants to call it, the thing which will overrule the Northern Ireland Protocol, is a bill that we don't need. And he effectively scrapped it today in Parliament when he addressed Parliament this evening at about 6 o'clock. So this is a bill which Boris Johnson put forward. I think it was foolish then, still think it's foolish, and Rishi Sunak explained that it's better to move forward in harmony with the EU rather than be locked into some sort of legal battle over the future of Northern Ireland. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think if Boris Johnson is going to oppose Rishi Sunak, then Rishi has the tools to deal with Boris Johnson too. And the first of those tools is to remove the whip. The second of those tools is to remove the machinery that celebrates Boris's tenure as Prime Minister and the inhabitant of number 10, and that is to not to implement the honours list that he gave to his successor to put into practice. That means Nadine Dorries, of course, would not go into the House of Lords, which would be excellent. The House of Lords is, in one sense, a place to dump those political leaders whose voices are likely to be overshadowing other people in the House of Commons. It's a place to park the unwanted. But it's the unwanted with power who need parking. And once their power is removed, which it is effectively in the House of Lords, where everyone is equal, that's why it's called the House of Peers, where everyone is equal, there is nobody who can lord it over anybody else. They're all lords, or ladies. That's why it's such an appropriate place to dump former prime ministers. That's why it's such a shame that Mr. Major didn't go there, that Mr. Cameron didn't go there, that Gordon Brown didn't go there, Blair didn't go there, because it broke that tradition of effectively emasculating a retired prime minister. So instead we have Mrs. May rather brilliantly poking her finger, jabbing her finger at the back of Boris Johnson. I mean, brilliant theatre, but utterly inappropriate behaviour. Because actually, once the Prime Minister has finished their duty, they should get off the stage. It's no longer their stage. They then become the wisdom of the past, and they should take up office in the House of Lords, as indeed should senior politicians of all parties. So, for example, I think, and I've thought for a long time, and I put forward the idea, and people have often misinterpreted it, that Nigel Farage should be in the House of Lords. Absolutely he should. It would basically silence him. And my goodness, does he need to be silenced? I don't think we should silence his television programs. They're entertaining. But we should silence the idea that he has a political voice of significance. He has opinions like anybody else. He should be a peer. He should be a person who has done his job and is now in a house full of equals. So in that sense, he is silenced, or at least put in his place. Put in his place. Now, the House of Lords is also a place for rewards. And those people of great significance who are rewarded for their work for our country can be granted a peerage and find themselves in the House of Lords. And that, I think, is not appropriate for Nadine Dorries. She has no reason to be in the House of Lords. She has not been a person of significance, and she is not a party political leader or an ex-prime minister. But Boris should definitely be castigated. He should be cast into the House of Lords. He should have the whip removed.